Hello everybody and welcome back to the Leeds Lens. We are going to be discussing every single thing that has happened today in the Leeds United sphere. But first of all, I want to start by saying I'm glad it's over. I am glad it's over now because I do feel like what Leeds United have been doing all season really in the Premier League has all been just completely focused around the negativity of the transfer window and the end to the transfer window. And to be honest with you, I'm at the point now where I am completely done. But what I want to do in this video, of course, is get your guys' involvement in this. I want your guys' comments flying in, and we're basically going to dissect where Leeds United are after that pretty horrific end to the transfer window, which I think is fair. I think pretty horrific does sum it up, to be honest. It was poor. It was poor. We didn't get the signings in we needed. Right at the end, Harry Wilson fell apart. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about sort of Farke, the board, where they've got it wrong, in my opinion. We're also going to talk a bit about the director of football as well and the issues behind the director of football and potentially Adam Underwood. Is he the right man to keep Leeds United going and to keep being the DOF of Leeds United? Question marks in there. We're also then going to talk about PSR and the impact, and has that had an impact on Leeds United as well. But also, as I said, keep this interactive. Let's keep going and let's talk all the way through what's happened today and the sort of, the issues that which we now find ourselves in because of a really poor end to the transfer window. Imagine not being Leeds says, evening mate, disappointing we've got, but we've got to focus on what we have now and move on United. Exactly. Well, that's how I feel. I think I am, as I said, I started this video or this live stream by saying I am glad it's over. And I think that is the sum of where I'm at now. I'm glad it's over. And I'm glad that every single video that we do, match reactions from all Leeds content creators and Baron Cross and Graham Smythe and everyone who covers Leeds United will not just be dominated around the transfer window. Because the truth of the matter is that we've had a really decent start to the season. We've had a really decent start to the season. 4 points in our first 3 games. We've played 2 Champions League teams. We've also had to play Arsenal away as well. We've clocked that one off. They're going to be top 2 or 3 teams. One of the hardest away grounds to go to. We've clocked it off. That's done now. And we've still got more points than a lot of teams. We're sat mid-table. We're doing all right, people. We are doing okay. But it's not all rosy. It isn't all rosy. And as I said, I do want to get into the transfer window and sort of where we're at now. And I can see the comments already. Horrific 49ers out. Yeah, well, look, I get it. I do get it. The thing I will say is that there is a few sort of things to mention here because I do want to get into a lot of this. I do want to talk a lot about Adam Underwood because I've got quite a bit to say on Underwood. Not that I'm going to slag him off totally, but I want to talk, was he the right man to go for? Was that the right thing to do? I look at what Sunderland did. They've brought in the DOF of, I believe, from Roma, who's got connections all over Europe. Were we doing the right thing by not doing that? I don't know. Sunderland fan here coming in peace. What the hell happened today for you guys? Surely your DOF had targets going into today. Well, we did. We had Harry Wilson, of course, who fell apart. And a number of other targets. I mean, Baron Cross in his article named about 6 different targets that we sort of Leeds United went for. But I also want to talk as well, did we spend, there's loads to get into, and it probably won't be just this stream, because I want to talk as well about sort of, did we go for the right players? I mean, we had a comment earlier in the day about we spent 27 million on backup players while we're still struggling with our first 11, and they're right. They're absolutely right. We've bought James Justin, we've bought Longstaff probably as a backup, if we're being totally honest, in the midfield. And we've bought, who else have we bought as well? There's another backup anyway that we've bought this summer. Did we need to spend that money when we are crying out for creativity and starting creative players? I don't know. Tonight I'm angry and I won't sleep. Yeah, Stephen, I think a lot of people do that. And that's part of what I want to do here. Like, as I said, I want it to be this bit of a therapy for everybody. Sort of get what off the chest, how they're feeling. It's a bit after I'd want it to do it a bit later than everybody else do a bit. So we're not as sort of like really angry. I mean, I'm pretty angry still, I've got to be honest. So yeah, but I am trying to get over it as best I can because we have been left short, and my truth is right now I do think we're probably going to go down, and that's not being negative. That's just mean seeing where we're currently at and sort of the situation we're currently in. We've got a front line that fundamentally isn't good enough, and we know this. The manager knows this. The board know this. And we've let him down. We've let Daniel Farke down. And actually, I think a lot of the Daniel Farke movement, because I know there was a lot of movement for him to be removed of his job, which with me was crazy talk anyway. So early in the season after the Sheffield Wednesday game, I get people were annoyed, but how you can do that now seems madness to me. And I'm not the biggest Farke lover, as everyone knows. What's going to replace the signing scale now, mate? Well, I could do. I've got another graphic which I have showed before, which is like just the Leeds United playing squad. I could pop that up now. Is that a better thing to pop up than the signing scale potentially? I don't know if it's all set up though. It might not be all set up. So no, I'll leave it. But yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of the signing scale, aren't we? Although, do we start again for January targets now? Oh God. Oh. We have got loads to get into, and I said I don't want to go through in too much detail about stuff. Farke's been thrown under the bus, and I can't see where the goals are coming from. Be lucky to score 20. Well, that is the issue, isn't it? That is like the fundamental issue here, is that we're just not like I said I showed a stream earlier, and I said that we need attackers, obviously, because if we don't get attackers today, we're going to be left short and we're not going to score enough goals. And I still stand by that. We're going to be competitive in games. We're going to give it a good go. We're going to get a lot of 0-0s potentially. Stuff like that is all going to be true. And we're going to be competitive. And we're not going to get beat 4 and 5s week in, week out. I generally don't think that's going to happen. But I just think we're going to constantly lose 1 and 2-0s. That's what I genuinely think at the moment. I think eventually we'll end up giving goals up. And we're not going to score enough goals. And that's sort of where I think. Let's have a look at some of your comments anyway. Hunter, please get some sleep. Let's have a look at some more comments here. Let's have a look. One thing, you could get Ziyech available on a free. Are we already going to that talk, people? Really? Are we going to that talk? We can do. But there is Ziyech, there is Ericsson, there is Brownhill. I know Brownhill's been mentioned a lot. I don't think he fixes what we need. But I do think with Brownhill, by the way, like when I'm talking later, because as I said, I've got a few notes that we're going to get into. But when I'm talking later about sort of, did we buy backups? Would it have been better putting the £15 million on Longstaff, on a Brownhill, and then using that money to get a wide player? I don't know, but I actually don't think the money's this. Let's get into some of these. Let's get into some of these notes I've got, shall we? And then I'll get through some of the notes, and then we'll get into some of you guys' comments. But the first place I want to start with, let's start with PSR. My opinion on PSR is there's a number of things. First of all, Sunderland have been able to spend more than us this summer for a few reasons. The first reason they've been able to spend more, which we talked about this on the earlier stream, is that, of course, they sold players this summer. So we were terrible at selling this summer. One of the worst things we did this summer was the lack of sales and the lack of ability to sell players for a proper reasonable fee and getting rid of players for PSR. Sunderland did this really well. I mean, they sold 8 players today, for goodness sake. But today, they sold over the transfer window Joe Bellingham for £30 million. They sold Tommy Watson for about 14 million. They sold a guy called Ekdal or something like that, or something like that to Rangers, I believe, for a certain amount of money as well. And they've raised about £50 million. But not just that, a lot of their money, Tommy Watson's pure profit because he came through the academy. Bellingham, I think they bought for about 4 million and sold him for about 30 million. So they banked, with the depreciation on his contract, they'll have banked about £28 million. This has all gone straight into their kitty, so they're allowed to spend more. So that's something to bear in mind. The other thing with Sunderland as well that they did is that last year we were relying to keep afloat, to break even. We were relying on parachute payments. We spent all our money that we got from parachute payments into the team. We were so close to breaking PSR last year. That's what we did. Now, Sunderland didn't do that. So we had to rely on 35 million. They didn't have that 35 million. So then when it goes even, they've actually got a 35 million buffer that we haven't, because we've already spent that money, if that makes sense. So to operate, we needed 35 more million than they did. So they've got that extra 35 million plus the sales, which has mean they'll be able to absolutely eclipse us in PSR. However, there's a few things for this. With PSR, Leeds United knew about this months ago. You could argue 12 months ago, but at the worst, in January, we should have looked at after the transfer window, we should have looked where we were at in relation to PSR. That is what we should have done. And then this summer, we know how much we're going to spend. And if we can't spend as much as we want, we've got to sell players. Struik, Gnontos, Tanakas, these players might have had to go to bring in other players. Tanaka I wouldn't have sold. But I think Struik and Gnonto, there's a reasonable argument you could have sold them to, who would have been really good for PSR on our books. Matteo Joseph is another one. We bought him for free. We could have got £7 million there. I'm not saying it's loads, but it would have helped. However, this has sort of been eclipsed today because we know Leeds United were trying to get a permanent deal over the line for Harry Wilson. And if that was the case, we must have been paying some money. So we can't be completely broke. Otherwise, we can't have been doing a permanent deal. And Harry Wilson's not a bad winger, 28 years old. Yes, he's got 1 year off his contract, but he's going to be at least £10 million. So we should have had at least 10 million to spend this summer extra. So when Paraag said that we're going to spend every penny. We haven't done because we've missed out on a target on the last day. So that's something to bear in mind with PSR. We should have done more sales. And also as well, did we need to, we'll bring this in as well. Did we need to then buy Justin and Longstaff? I'm not saying they're bad players, and I like both the signings. Longstaff was brilliant the weekend, and Justin fills a really good hole for us. But when we're so desperately missing creativity in the final third, which Leeds United are, what's more important? 27 million for Longstaff and James Justin, or 27 million on Delane Bakwa, or a number of wingers that we could have got on the right-hand side? What's more important? But again, that sort of argument becomes redundant because, of course, we didn't have issues with PSR because we bidded for Harry Wilson, for goodness sake, today. Let's have a look anyway. In my opinion, the worst part is that we built such a physical squad to try target set pieces, but we haven't brought anyone in to take them. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, but I think we were trying, weren't we, with Wilson, of course. But I mean, the Wilson thing, by the way, let's get onto that now as well. And as I said, then I will definitely get into you and get some of you guys' comments because I can see loads coming in. With the Harry Wilson thing, by the way, when I've had it explained to me, I'm so frustrated with it. Leeds United apparently had a deal agreed with Fulham this summer for obviously Harry Wilson at the weekend. So yesterday or the day before. And we let Fulham wait to get the deals they needed to get over the line before we do our Harry Wilson deal. Yesterday, we should have been ballsy and we should have said, Fulham, this is our deal. This is how much we're paying for him. We can't wait in case you pull out at the end of the deal, which they have done. We can't wait. So what we're going to have to do is we'll put our money on the table right now. This is how much we're paying. And if you don't sign this deal now, it's deals off and you don't get your money for Harry Wilson and you can leave on a free next summer. Because by the way, that's what's happening with Harry Wilson. And if we'd have done that, they might have took it because we agreed what they were asking for at the weekend. That's what we should have done. And if they said no, we should have moved on to other targets. And the other thing is that, all right, if we had a deal agreed with Fulham at the weekend for Harry Wilson, where's the other signing that we needed as well? Because, all right, you miss on Harry Wilson, but everybody knew we needed two attackers. We needed a winger and a number 10. Where's our number 10? Have we missed out on a number 10 as well? Because we should have been doing two deals. So unless we've missed out on two, which I haven't heard of, why were we only doing one when Farke on Saturday night said that we needed two? Do you know what I mean? Right, let's have a look anyway. Just seen the loan markets are also closed. Didn't know that yet. Unfortunately, they are. Richard says this is on the owners for bringing an inexperienced recruitment team with no contacts. We will talk about Adam Underwood because I don't think that's not true, and I've got a bit to mention on that. Overpaid for Justin, I think, says BSE Frost. Yeah, I think potentially we did, but if we've still got money to spend, I don't think that's as big an issue. Longstaff was great value. Okay, fair enough. Just mentioned your channel in my group chat, mate. Love your delivery and professionalism. Thank you very much. I do really appreciate that. I don't know if sometimes I get too passionate because I just love the club so much. But yeah, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Imagine not being Leeds. John says, feel for Farke. Yeah, I do as well, mate. I actually generally do feel for Farke because Paraag said when we appointed Farke, he hasn't had a fair chance in the Premier League, and Leeds United are going to back him and give him that. Or what? Giving him Okafor and 2 frees on. I mean, come on. Feel for Farke, employ a window cleaner, give him. I can't read all that, mate. And then sack him for doing. This is what I mean. This is what. Because this is the problem with it. Is that this is why I feel for Daniel Farke. He's not being given the tools, and truthfully, what's going to happen is we're not going to score enough goals, and he'll lose his job. And that's how this is going to go down. But we've got to remember when that happens, we know who to blame, because he wasn't given the tools. And you just can't turn water into wine anymore. You can't polish a turd. You cannot polish a turd. I'm not saying our attackers are turds. That's not what I'm saying. It's just a phrase. Agreed, Matt. I've been trying to get. Let's read more comments. Bet Paraag will not be at the Bournemouth game since he's going to get some serious pelters, especially if we lose at Fulham and Wolves, says Stephen. Yeah, well, I think he probably will. I think we're going to hear from the club. I'd be surprised if we don't. We always used to get a Kinnear interview, obviously, on the Square Ball, so I'd be interested to see if the Square Ball have got anything else up the sleeve with relation to, obviously, Robbie Evans, I think, who's the CEO now. Or is it? So I'd be interested to see if there's anything happens there. But we need to hear from them because it's. But we know the situation, don't we? They've missed out on the targets they wanted, and you can tell that as well because I'm not going to go down the line of Paraag's a complete idiot and stupid. Like, this is a guy he's a clever businessman, Paraag. And to come out before the Everton game and to say what he said suggests to me that he was confident we were going to get signs of the line. So something's seriously gone wrong. And we know we've lost out on Buonanotte. We know we've lost out on Wilson. But he was so... You could tell in the interview, it was almost like preaching to the masses about how confident it was and how brilliant it was all going to be. He did not expect it to go down like this. I actually do think as well that there's going to be some serious conversations, because the 49ers, this is £1 billion investment firm. They're going to be spitting feathers at what's happened in the last sort of few years. I think there could be... I genuinely think there could be sackings, because I do think they've made a real mistake here. And they know they have. I mean, they were trying to get attacking bodies. It's not like they were not trying to do it. Can never be too passionate, young lad. Thank you very much, Sean. I don't know about that. I think you can be at times, but okay. Anyone else can come in, is on a free. Yeah. And there is free options, like we've mentioned. Like, you've got Ziyech, you've got Ericsson, you've got Brownhill. So there is options, but I don't really like any of them, to be honest. Ziyech, I just feel like he's a complete luxury player and someone we can't carry. Like, in Daniel Farke's system, we need someone who's going to be really good defensively and offer defensive support on the wings naturally. People are going to laugh and moan about that, but that is true. Like, we do need that, because we aren't going to be dominating games a lot of the time in the Premier League naturally. So we need someone who's going to be defensively disciplined. And Ziyech, of course, I don't think would offer that. Ericsson as well, his legs have gone. So yes, off the ball would be awful. On the ball, yeah, but off the ball, I don't think he can offer anything. So Brownhill is the only one. However, Brownhill's going to want a fortune, and I don't think he improves us that much, because I don't think he's a really good creative spark. Yes, he scores goals. A lot of them were penalties, by the way, but he does score goals, and he works hard. But haven't we got a midfield for that anyway? Like, I honestly think that, like, Tanaka's a much better footballer. We just play the Tanaka in the 10. There's no point. The Newcastle game, the first shot on target was the 89th minute. We're in trouble. Where are the goals coming from? I can't answer that. Diamond, I cannot answer that, because I don't know. I'm looking at myself thinking, where are the goals coming from? As I said, I actually think, I genuinely think this. I think up front, we're all right. Nemecha looked good at the weekend, in my opinion. The way Links play is really nice. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he stays fit, and we've always said this, and this is the caveat, but if he stays fit, he will score goals, because his movement's brilliant, and I've talked about this on a few videos. His movement is exceptional, so he will score goals. It's just the creativity. And if you look, as I said, Jamie Carragher made a quote at the weekend that I've referenced a few times on this channel, and he said that Arsenal's issue has never been that they ain't got a number 9 to finish it. Yes, there might be an issue, but it's the creativity. We've got the exact same issue, but at a lower level. We've got the exact same issue. We don't have enough creativity in the team, and everybody knows it. I mean, it was so obvious at the weekend, which is why they were trying to do deals and why Farke said it, but they just missed out on targets. Also, by the way, you meant to do this on YouTube, so I will do, because apparently it helps the channel. So I've currently got 31 viewers watching and 12 likes. So if you could drop a like, that'd be appreciated. It might sort of help my day a bit. Probably not, but, you know, thanks anyway. Harrison's still here, so we defo failed. Yeah, well, I mean, Mellier's still here. I mean, he can actually go. Meslier could go in the next 40 minutes, but Meslier is currently still here. If he does go, by the way, and anyone's on Twitter, just give us a shout, because that'll be at least a little celebration for me. Ericsson on a free, lol. Yeah, I know. As I said, I don't think it's the right thing to do at all. I'm looking for... Sorry, if I missed your comment, by the way, there's too many to go through. I can't keep up. Yeah. Let's have a look. Rumour has it Brownhill wants 120k a week and half 10 plus a 10 million sign-on fee. There's clubs that have walked away: Everton, Wolves, and Leicester. Yeah, and now he'll want even more, because he knows now that Leeds are in a mess. They've missed out all additions. His agents will see us coming a mile off. And we don't even, as I said, I don't even think he's that good an addition. I really don't. We don't want him on that money. I'm telling you, we don't. Because if we go down, we can't afford them wages, and we can't then afford to get rid of him. Honestly, it'd be a nightmare. Like with the same issues we've had with Bamford. Let's talk about Adam Underwood, shall we? And we'll start, because, by the way, when I want to talk about Adam Underwood here, everything needs to be caveated by saying it's Paraag's fault because he appointed him. So it's like when we blame the manager, and we shouldn't blame the person who picked the manager at times. But let's talk about Paraag, and let's talk about Underwood. Do I think Underwood is a complete useless whatever? No, I don't. My main issue with Underwood is It's a massive job the first year in the Premier League. And was he ready to do it? Was he ready to do it? And should we have looked elsewhere? We lost Nick Hammond, who, by the way, was an outstanding DOF. And we saw that with our deals. We've seen that with Everton deals, in my opinion, this summer. We saw it with Newcastle's deals. He is a brilliant DOF. And we've replaced him with someone in-house. And that can work. It can work. But I don't think it has this summer, has it? I think it's quite obvious it hasn't. And my other main takeaway with Underwood is that I just feel that we needed someone with a bit of experience, but more importantly, someone with contacts. Because the way you get players now in this day and age is you've got to have connections into the agents. The agents control everything players do. These players trust agents like the mum and dad. And Adam Underwood, as good as we think he is, doesn't have agent connections around the continent. He doesn't have them. And it's not his fault, but he doesn't. I don't have connections around Europe. It's not his fault, but he doesn't have them. And I look at what Sunderland have done. I look at the additions they've brought in. They've got a guy who's been in the European team for years, a guy called I can't remember, begins with a G. But I think he's been Roma's DOF. He's known around the continent, and no wonder he's been able to get big deals over the line. And to be honest, even if you look the last time we got promoted, do you really think Rodrigo would have signed for Leeds United if it wasn't for Victor Orta and his connections in Spain? He wouldn't. He wouldn't have signed. As I said, Victor Orta was not a good DOF. I'm just using it as an example as someone who's got connections, and what you get with connections, you get big names. I don't think the Daniel Farke effect has helped. I don't think the fact that we've got Daniel Farke as our manager and he's not as big a pull as a Bielsa, I don't think that's helped us. But Regis Lebrie's not a huge name, is he? If we're being honest, he's not. He's not a Bielsa type figure. And they've managed, and I'm not saying Sunderland have done everything right this summer, because I still think they're potentially a bit weak in wide areas and a few other things. But they've managed to get, for me, they've had a better window than we have, comfortably, haven't they? A much better window. Yes. Let's have a look at some more of your comments anyway. I'm disappointed with the ending. It's still a fantastic window in my eyes. Okay. 10 players from the top leagues. We almost got spoilt too early. So expected it to keep going. Do you not think we're missing stuff though? Do you not think that we're missing a few bodies in the final third? Do you not think that? Because I honestly do. I get you. I get we want to be positive, and it'll be nice. Like tomorrow and building up to the game at the after the international break, the Fulham game, we'll put the window behind us and we'll start just talking about the football again, which is nice because it transfers all the time. It does. And I'm gonna have to talk about it because we're still gonna need bodies, and the January window we're gonna need bodies in January. But it will be nice, won't it, to not just be like, we need to sign players now because we know we can't. We're going to have to move on. And that will be a nice that will be nice not to have to do that anymore. This window's been a disgrace. You see, that's the difference. That's why we like the discourse. One guy's saying it's not so bad. Another guy's saying it is bad. And look, that's how it is. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. I'm not probably on it's absolutely hideous. As I said, we are going to be competitive. We've got a really good defence. We've got a strong midfield. We've got 2 good number 9s, in my opinion. And I think that we can, I think we can be competitive. I just think we lack creativity. But you put Tanaka back in the midfield and he might help. He's got that creative spark potentially. Imagine Leeds said over 40 watching. Smash a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And if you could do his words and do that, that would be much appreciated. Should we talk about some of the targets we missed on? By the way, I've got a list here. You ready? Diarra, Paixao, Muniz, Krstovic, Buonanotte, Bakwa, Spertsyan, Demirovic, Gonzales, Buendia, Hamer, Khannous, and Harry Wilson. As I said, would a different DOF have done a better job of getting them players over the line? I'm not saying he would, but I'm not saying he wouldn't have either. I've subbed and liked. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that, mate. I really do. John said, yes, we're missing Ramazani, Joseph, Bamford and Solomon. We've gone backwards. I don't think we have. I know this will be the narrative. We haven't. If we'd have had a front line this year of our best front line last year, if we're being honest, was Dan James on the right, Perot up front, and Solomon on the left. I would happily have Okafor, DCL, and Gnonto on the right. I think that's a better front line, personally. Is because the strikers, if we had Perot as our only striking option really in the Prem with Joseph, we'd have a severe issue. We'd have a properly issue. Whereas I actually think we've got 2. I honestly think we've got 2 pretty decent number 9s. I really do. Yeah. I forgot as well, by the way, I was trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the transfer window, and it has actually shut now, but it's not the end of today yet. So if you could do that and get me to 1,000 today, that'd be class. I'm not saying that you can, but that would be class. Let's have a look at your some guys got comments anyway. Okay, he would have struck a snaky release clause in there, but still, yeah. No, as I said, Victor Otto is not the answer. I'm not saying go get Victor Otto. I'm just saying we saw the way he managed to get deals over the line for bigger players than we've probably attracted this summer. And that doesn't mean that he's good, because a lot of his signs were crap. And I actually think Rodrigo, although he was a big name, wasn't a good deal for us. We paid 30 million, we lost it for 3 million. It killed us on FF. It was a bad deal, but, you know. Otto would have signed most of them. Stop the list, please, lol. Yeah, well, I know, there's so many. And actually, I think there's more. Like, I don't think I've covered them all there. I think there's even more. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Let's have a look at some more comments. Paraag, the Peach Pipers, tune in today. Don't stop believing. We need your money. See, by the way, I do want to talk a bit about the Rangers thing, because I think people are saying I've seen a lot of this about Rangers and stuff, and I said this in the earlier stream today. I really don't think the Rangers thing's an issue. I don't think that that's the priority, to be honest, than Leeds United. It's also a different investment front. Like, it's not the same investment group at all. It's completely different. So I don't think that's a big issue. I also think as well that if, in terms of what Leeds United are trying to do and what the investment group of the 49ers are trying to do for Leeds, the potential of Leeds United is vastly different to what the potential of Rangers is on a financial scale. The Rangers, in comparison to Leeds, it's night and day. Yes, they're a massive club, but we're in the Premier League. And if you can sustain a team in the Premier League, you're worth £1 billion. And that's the 49ers' aim. Buy us for whatever, 200 million, whatever it was. Put, say, 500 million into the club and then sell for £1 billion with a new stadium. That is their master plan. That's why they're in it for. They're not in it because they love Leeds. That isn't the case. It's never been the case. Although, at the moment, to be honest, what we both want aligns. Like, they want us to be established in the Premier League. That's what we all want. For me, it was way too soon for the recruitment team, and they were new to the roles, and it hampered us. I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think looking back, that was a mistake. I worried about it at the time, to be honest. I wasn't particularly comfortable at the time, but I didn't want to be negative for no reason. And we also, like, I'm sort of of the opinion you've got to give people a chance at times. But yeah, we should have probably gone for more experienced ones, shouldn't we, if we're being honest? Would you have taken Solomon back? Not ideal, don't get me wrong, but better than nothing. Solomon back at Leeds. Yeah. No, actually, no, because you've got to stick to your morals, and Solomon just isn't. Not morals in the. I mean, we had him last year, didn't we? But no, I don't think I would. No, because we just don't need him. We've got 2 left wingers anyway. Sunderland. Let's have a look here. Sunderland look to have got a great window. It's seriously who has been the head of most of their incomings before this summer. They could have all been bang average. They're all from the continent, and it's a gamble. I see what you're saying, John, but I think they'll be all right. Having watched some of them players, we know a lot of them players have played, quite a few of them have played in the Premier League before, or played at a really decent standard. A lot of them have played in the Bundesliga as well, and the Bundesliga is quite similar to the Premier League, I always think, in terms of the intensity, in terms of the way teams press. So, you know, my feeling is right now we're probably down and they might be staying up, to be honest. And people would like to have that conversation, but it's just a prediction. And I hope I'm wrong, obviously. We're all said to give them till the end of the window to judge it, and it feels like they've failed with how they ended. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think especially I have tried to be positive on this channel, and I will still be positive. Like when this all comes over, and when we're starting with the Fulham game, I think we can get something at Fulham. I really do. And I'll move on, and we'll be positive, and we'll find a way that Leeds United can stay in the league. But right now, I'm just lying to you guys if I don't think that we've had a good. Like I actually don't think we've had a good window. I honestly don't think we have. Like we're not going to score. Like we haven't got. We're not just missing a profile. We're missing creators in the team. Like who in the team is actually a top end creator at all? Tanaka an absolute push, but James isn't. He ain't got the IQ to sort of better play like a sort of a splitting defensive pass through. Like he ain't got that. Gnonto to an extent. The season, to be honest, the season right now with it how it is will be defined on two things. Okafor staying fit and being an amazing signing, and DCL staying fit and being an amazing signing. If we get them two firing, if we get Okafor firing and we get DCL firing, we might just be all right because them two have got individual quality where they might do stuff for Leeds United. That if them two stay fit, we might be all right. It's a big ask though. They've both got injury records and they haven't had a particularly great goal scoring record in the last few years. Nonan says, I'm gutted about Harry Wilson. Almost him. Leeds signed the papers, and so did Wilson, but Fulham refused. Yeah, I know, but no, I get that's true, and we were a bit unlucky on Wilson, but we were a bit unlucky on Wilson. But as I said, we needed two, and we apparently had this deal agreed at the weekend. Why weren't we pursuing another one? Why were we not going for number 10? Wilson can play in the 10, but he's a right winger, and he also can't play in the 10 and on the right wing in the same game, on the same team sheet, naturally. So why were we not looking at a Gustavo Hamer or a Jack Rodoni or a number of number 10 Spertsyan? Why were we not looking at these players? Like, we needed two, didn't we? Everybody knew that. We weren't just one we needed. Do you feel like we failed to convince top players with our project, or do you think we wouldn't pay silly money as I understand players worrying about relegation, but Sunderland got their top targets? I think it's a few things. I think we've missed out on players for a few things. I think people are worried. I think players are worried about relegation. I think they are. And I don't think we've been helped with the last 6 teams going up, all going down. I don't think that helps it. I think it creates a blueprint where players think that whoever goes up is going to go straight back down, which, by the way, is the narrative in the rest of the sort of Premier League space right now. I don't think that helps us. But you're right to bring up Sunderland because they have brought in good players. I think it's the DOF. I really think it is. They're not a bigger club than us, Sunderland. Going into it, they didn't have a better team than us. You would say they've not got potentially as much survival hopes as us going into the season. I think their DOF has got agents on his. I think he's got connections in the agent world with loads of agencies and agents around the countries who've helped them get these players over the line. And I just don't think Underwood's got that. And again, that isn't Underwood's fault, but that is the play, that is the situation. And I honestly think there's something in that. I also think as well, we also know we don't have as much money as Sunderland, which obviously I sort of explained earlier. So I think that's something to do with it. Someone said stack. I'm not sure in context to what. If you could clarify that, would be fantastic. We weren't ruthless enough early doors. We've several players who we all know are still here who simply aren't good enough at this level. And in my opinion, failed to ship them out has been a major impact. Completely agree. As I said, for me, the thing that's killed this window more than anything is the sales and the lack of valuations we've got for sales, and getting like Meslier. Why is Meslier still here? Why is he still here? What's going on? Like, how can we not get him off the books? Like, this is a guy who's played a few years in the Premier League. Like, we should have been able to get him off the books. I can't believe he's still here. But not just that, we should have sold. We should have sold a Pascal Struik. We should have sold a Gnonto. And we should have used the money that you get from the PSR sales to help boost the team. That's what we should have done. We just didn't do it. It's a categorical of errors all the way through. And also, I do wonder as well, like, obviously Farke, there was a thing that came out, wasn't there, about maybe a month ago, where Farke had said, maybe even not before that, maybe near the start of the season, where he said, I want to prioritise my sort of spine signings early on. So my defence and my midfield players, I want to get them first because it's harder to come into a Daniel Farke team playing as a defender or a midfielder, and there's more to learn in the system playing as a defender or a midfielder than it is for the attackers. So Leeds United prioritised buying defensive signings first. Would we have been better going defensive signing, midfield signing, attacker signing, defensive signing, midfield signing, attacking signing? So if we did get left short, we got left short in a few different areas less than all in one position. Like, we've lost out on attackers where we haven't bought anywhere near enough attackers, but we've got way enough midfielders. Would we have been better doing it like that? I don't know. I'm not saying we would have been. I'm just thinking it's an interesting one. Ramazani going out was hard to take and felt ridiculous and feels ridiculous now. It feels absolute insanity. Yeah, I know. Well, we can't recall him, but can we do a deal with him to get him back? I think that's what happened with Gulu at Sunderland. I think they did a deal with Chelsea to get him back. Can we do a deal with Ramazani to get him back? Potentially. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, it's crackers, isn't it? To be honest, it's absolutely crackers. The only thing is, like, with this, and people are going to say Ramazani, and they're right, because he's a fantastic footballer. He got an assist the other night. Like, Corberan wants him, who we know is a top coach. Like, Valencia are going to be a good team this year. They were fantastic since he came in. Obviously, they were struggling before that. And that's what that. So we know Ramazani's a good player, and that's all fine. Farke wouldn't use him though, would he? Like we saw in the first game against Everton, he would rather bring on Harrison and Aronson. So he's back to our 5th choice winger anyway, or even our 6th choice winger, because you've got Gnonto, Okafor, and James who are his starters. They're his starters, and it'll interchange who they're starting are. Then you've got sort of Harrison. Then you've got Harrison and Aronson who will play on the wings, and then you'd have Ramazani. So he won't going to play. He won't going to play. So even still, it wouldn't have mattered because he wouldn't play him. So yeah. So I know why it's insanity, because he's better. He's a better player than Harrison. He's a better player than Aronson. But for whatever reason, Farke doesn't think that, does he? If it's his defensive work, or how much a risk taker is on the ball, whatever it is, his ball retention, whatever you want to call it, there's a reason he don't play him, and it's not going to work, is it? I'll wait to see the results before I start moaning. Fair enough. And the results have been good. This is what I mean. This is why I don't want to get sort of like. That's why I'm almost glad the transfer window's done. Because at the weekend, we got a really good point against Newcastle. And what was all the talk about? The transfer window. We weren't talking about how well defensively we were set up, or how well Longstaff really did in midfield, or how well, I don't know, the fullbacks did, or whatever you want to talk. We didn't talk about that at the weekend, or how well the Metro did up front. It was all about, we need more signings. And that's fine, because that was the story at the time. But it'd be nice to move on from that, won't it? It will be nice to move on from that. We messed Fulham about by agreeing to a fee at the weekend and then tried to change it with a loan, which put them off. I mean, if that's true, that's just utterly ridiculous, isn't it, on the 49ers' behalf? But we also know they've panicked today like there's no tomorrow. I mean, they've obviously gone in for Buendia this morning, and then they've told Adam Pope that they aren't, to put out that they aren't, to make them look better. It's pretty obvious that they've gone in for Hamer, and then they've got Graham Smith to put out saying that they aren't. Like, I mean, today's been a car crash, really. Like, it really has. Obviously going down, but not before we take some points off Scum. Well, they are awful. I watched them against Burnley, and they're dreadful. Like, their midfield, like we will dominate them in the midfield for sure. Our midfield's miles better than theirs, and they also play a weird system, obviously with the 5-back where they play 2 in midfield, which is crackers. Wouldn't surprise me if Paraag sacks Underwood in the coming months to cover his own back. I honestly, as I said, this is an enterprise with tons and tons of rich people in. Like, there's a guy who's got 40 billion net worth who's in this thing. They will not accept like a really crap window and missing key profiles from the 49ers. They won't. The 49ers won't accept that. They honestly won't. Like, they'll be really frustrated by this. I genuinely believe that. And yeah, I think there could be sackings. I really do. Because they're not happy. Like, Farke's not happy quite clearly. And something's gone wrong. Something has gone wrong. Because, and we know that, because we know they've lost out on Buonanotte, but that was before Farke said that we think we're going to get 2, which is what he said at the weekend. Signing quality early gives you a better chance of attracting a few others. Yeah, this is true, Russ. This is true. My only thing that I was always saying about this is that if you're a top player and you've got offers from Europe and you've got potential offers from teams that are higher in the Premier League or whatever, if you've got offers and they're good offers, but they might not happen. If you're a top player, you will wait and wait and wait, and the agent will be involved in this, and they'll wait and wait and wait, and eventually, when it gets to the end of the window, they'll come to Leeds United because they'll go, actually, I don't know, Dortmund was on the table and, I don't know, Forest was on the table, but they ended up not going. They went for somebody else. All right, I'll come to Leeds. And in a way, that's what Tanaka did last summer, because Tanaka basically said last summer, it came out, that he was trying to get a move to the top 5 leagues all window. It didn't happen, so on deadline day, he decided to sign for Leeds United. That's what happened with Tanaka. And I think that's what the 49ers banked on happening this time, where they better get some top targets late on. And it's just gone through. It's just fallen through. Matthew says, terrible window, 4 out of 10 for me. We even gave Giabi to Hull for free. We did, but he had 1 year left in his contract. And he also... He had 1 left in his contract, and we've also got a sell on in there as well, which I think is quite big. So, yeah. But we might end up getting some money if he does anything good. You mentioned creative players. I did. Probably mentioned a few times, actually. I would have even sold Pro, says marching on with Sean. Yeah, I would have done. The only thing with Pro is we bought him for 16 million quid. I think he's on a 5-year deal. So that would mean that he's depreciated and his book value would be around about the £10 million mark this summer. So unless you sold for more than 10 million, you wouldn't bank a profit on 10 million selling this summer. So, you know, we might have got 15 million, but then you'd banked 5 million. We wouldn't have banked all 15 million because he's obviously he's still got quite a high book value because of the money we paid for him in the first place. Newcastle haven't really done anything. They've just replaced the players they sold. Okay, I'm not quite sure what you mean, but yeah, they have. Yeah, yeah, I know you mentioned Sean with PSR, but I think, yeah, it's just a bit different with him because obviously, as I said, there's a bit of a problem naturally because his book value is still quite high. You know full well, Scum will turn into prime Barca when they play us. But they had McTominay last time, who were basically the king of playing against Leeds United, who they don't have anymore. So hopefully, we'll get a better result. Oh dear, it's just disappointing, isn't it? Because like you go into the we get promoted, everyone's happy. We get told by the 49ers big things coming, and to not sign a player over 20 million quid, I don't know. It's just it's disappointing, isn't it? It's really disappointing. There's quite an interesting comment incoming here from Neo King Fairy, I think that is. 150 million in sales last year. 150 million sales last year. 60 million Red Bull sponsor. 150 million TV revenue. Then the extra shares that we were called didn't count towards PSR. Where's all the money? Well, as I said, I think they were trying to spend it, weren't they, at the end? As I said, I'm not saying they did a good job or anything like that, but I think they were trying to spend it at the end of the window. Obviously, because they were trying for a permanent on Harry Wilson, which would have cost, I think it's got to be 15 million quid for Harry Wilson, even with the year left in his contract. So I think the money was there. We just didn't manage. The deals that we're trying to get failed. I think that's how it is. Free signings then, says John. Yeah, free signings. I don't think there's any good options on free signings though. As I said, Brownhill's there. Ericsson's there, ZX there, but I mean, I don't like the Brownhill signing. I know people in the fan base don't hate the Brownhill signing. For me, it's not the one. It just isn't the one. By the way, apologies, I keep looking over there. It's because that's where the comments are on my screen. So yeah, if I'm constantly staring in that direction, that is why. I can't just look down the lens the whole time. By the way, if you're watching now, with the transfer windows finished, let's see your guys' rating. I want to see where everyone is. I get the impression it'll be about a 5 or a 4. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you are watching now, I think there's 32 people watching. If you can, yeah, let me know what you think, because I do want to see where everyone would rate it. And I'll right at the end of the stream, I'll give my rating as well. Free signings then. Yeah, I've already read that one out. I do think there's 4 to 5 worse teams than us. We've got to believe. We do. We have to believe, because what's the point? Like, if we're going in with a white flag, there's no point, is there? We might as well. We've been competitive in the first few games. We could keep doing that for sure. We were missing our midfielders at the weekend as well. Put Tanaka back in, put Ampadu back in. I think it looks slightly better naturally. So yeah, we've got to be positive, because what's the point? There's just no point in being negative. Like, we have got fans on Twitter, and every fan base has. And I said this earlier, like, they care more about sort of being right and about the negativity than they do actually the team winning, I feel like, at times. Like, they breed on the negativity. And I can't be like that. I'm just never going to be like that, because what's the point? Like, you support the club, so sometimes you've got to actually support the club. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments. 3 out of 10, 6, 5, 4, 5. Yeah, it's sort of where I thought, really. Yeah. It's common knowledge that you can't just keep spending without bringing money in. And let's be honest, we've sold next to nothing. As I said, Russ, I completely agree. That we needed to sell. I think we needed a big sale this summer. I think we needed a big sale. And what I mean by that is a big PSR sale. And our big PSR players are Pascal Struik, Wilfried Gnonto and Tanaka. And why is that? Because their book values are the lowest in the team because we paid minimum value for them or really low value for them or in some cases nothing for them. We've had them for some of them for a while. Obviously, Tanaka only a year, but we only bought him for I think 3 or 4 million. So in terms of how much you could sell them for, you can raise a good book value. And we had one of them had to go, potentially two. For me, I'd have kept Tanaka with all costs. I think he's arguably our best midfielder in my opinion. Even with the new lads coming in for me. So I would have kept him, but I think you could have cashed in on Gnonto and Struik because you've got Biol there who can play at centre back. Out wide, you've got Okafor. You potentially could put Gnonto on the right, but you could put James there. But you could use that money towards a new winger. So that's what I'd have done. No matter who plays, I will support the team. Just disappointed with the end of the window. That's where I'm at, Christopher. I'm not going to be booing him. I do think the reception could be a bit toxic though if it gets worse. I do think sack the board can come out at some points this year because Leeds United and me don't like being down at the bottom of the league. We don't like. That's not what we like. It's not where we want to be. Why sell them? Like you said, we can't get players in. No, but I think if we'd have sold them earlier, we could have had more money and gone for better option players. But I get your point. I do think we could have done that though. Support the boys on the pitch, but really disappointed in the board. Yeah, exactly. And as I said, I do think it has sort of slowed down the anti-Farke movement, which we know after Sheffield Wednesday did start to pick up. We know that was the case. It was everywhere. Sack Farke. I remember seeing polls on some Twitter, on some YouTube videos that some of the content creators doing. I think Connor at One Leeds did it, of course, and I think it was like 72% sack Farke, which is crazy to me. That is crazy talk. I mean, he's all right. First year failed, but got as close to promotion as humanly possible. 90 points, didn't get up, fine. Second year promoted, 100 points. Yes, he had a good team, but we don't say Pep's crap because he wins with a good team. So fine. Got us promoted, 100 points, top goal scores. I think we're brilliant defensively, except Million goal. This year beat Everton, lost to Arsenal, fine, and then obviously had a really poor result as well against Wednesday. But then we drawn with Newcastle. So as I said, I don't think he's done particularly that bad of a job, really. Let's have a look. We have the winter window and next June to sell. Yeah, well, this is the thing. We could have sold in June. That is the thing because obviously the PSR deadline is July the 1st. So we could have sold in June. The only thing I will say on the selling in June, which is fine, is that the problem with doing that is that everybody knows you need to sell and you get crap fees. That is what happens. You get rubbish fees because everybody knows you've got to sell before a PSR deadline. I know we've actually done all right before. Like we did well with the Archie Gray deal. I think that was 40 million before, so that was a really good deal. But I'm telling you for a fact, to say we need to sell a Pascal Struik before the PSR deadline, that will be a bad fee. It would be on what we deem him worth. It would be a bad fee. I'm sure of it. Right. Let's have a look at a few more notes I've got, and we'll go for about another 10 or so more minutes. I think we'll go to about 11, and then we'll call it a day because I've already done an hour and a half of streaming already. I've become a streamer, people. I can't believe it. I've only done videos before this. I think I've done one stream before today, but I quite enjoy it. I like the interaction with the chat. I really do. I love the interaction because as I said, it sparks thoughts in my head about different things as well. And it turns it more. I feel like I'm more connected with you guys, which I just really, really like. Actually, let's look at a few more comments first. I think the problem we have had is a goal scorer at this level would cost 40 to 50 million, and that's why we got DC on a free. Top winger going to other clubs, we can't compete. Yeah, I still think we could have done better than we did. I do. Like Adingra would have been a decent option for us on the right hand side that Sunderland have done. We could have done better. We honestly could have done better, I think. Russell said Aronson, Harrison, Gruev, Perot, James, Meslier, and Pascal would have fetched enough to buy a couple of creative players at the very least. Exactly. They would have done more. It would have done more than that. Definitely more. You could have got loads with that. Let's have a look. Ramazani and Solomon out, replaced by Harrison, Okafor. Not for me. Okay, As I said, we haven't really seen much of. I mean, we've seen Harrison and we know what he's like. We haven't seen much of Okafor, so I don't want to write him off too early. But yeah, and I also like to back new signings because I mean, it's hard going into a new club, and that's when you start a new job. When you start a different new job, it's hard, isn't it? You've got to learn your craft a bit first. Totally agree. We need sales to get better players in. Yeah, you're really well spoken, and I like your stream. Thank you very much. As I said, I really enjoy. I like the sort of interaction with the chat. I actually much prefer doing this streaming than I do. Then I just like film my own videos. My only thing is that I didn't know if I had enough people to have a conversation with in the comments. I thought I'd be sat here with 2 viewers, so that seemed a bit bizarre. But yeah, since people seem to like it and watch, you might have to turn it into a regular thing. Danny Talks Leeds said, smash a like and subscribe, please. Thank you very much, Danny. And yeah, if you could do what Danny's requested, that'd be fantastic. Anger aside, when we go down, does anyone else see a player we've signed selling for a profit? Anger aside, when we go down, anyone see a player we've signed selling for a profit? Well, I mean, there is a few, like Gnonto will still sell for a profit, Struik will still sell for a profit, Tanaka will still sell for a profit. Stack, I think we probably will. I think we've got a good deal on Stack, 17 million quid. I think I expect him to have a good season. I think he will. I think we get a profit on him. Goodmanson for 10 million quid looks a bit of a steal, to be honest with you. Looks a steal, that. I think we could make some serious money on him. So yeah, I disagree with that. I think there's players there. I'm not saying that's a backward step, but I'm not sure he's much of a forward one either. Is that in terms of selling players and bringing other players in? I'm not fully sure what you mean. A level-headed creator, keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Russ. I'll probably end up saying something that'll wind you up now, but yeah, thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. As I said, I just enjoy chatting to people about Leeds. It's something I just enjoy to do. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Let's have a look. I'm just looking at these targets again, by the way. Diarra, Paixao. I mean, we were so close to Paixao, you know. Oh, that might be our Gakpo moment this year, or our, like, the first year we got promoted. Our big moment was Rafinha, getting him over the line. That was the big one. That's the one looking back that you're like, wow, that's the reason we finished 9th. Not just that, obviously Bielsa was there and stuff like that, and other players played really well that year. But he was like an absolute superstar. I think Paixao, if we'd have got Paixao in, put Paixao on that left-hand side, it'd have been a different situation. It really would. Diarra, yeah, Diarra as well. He's looked good at Sunderland as well, hasn't he? Oh, dear. Muniz, yeah. There's more as well. Like, we were linked with Siddiqui, weren't we? That's gone to Sunderland. Muniz, I actually, do you know what it is? Of all the types we were linked to, I liked Muniz, and I think he would have been a good shout for us up front. And he started well for Fulham this year. I mean, the joke of a decision that they got against him and Muniz got against him at the weekend was a disgrace, wasn't it? But I mean, you can't expect much more. Well, you can expect much more, but I mean, these things happens. But yeah, I want as big on Muniz actually. I actually think Calvert-Lewin could outscore Muniz this year. I do. I don't actually think, other than injury record, I don't think Calvert-Lewin's that much worse than Muniz. I generally don't think he is, by the way. And we've paid 30 odd million less, and probably more. We're probably gonna have to pay 40 for Muniz. Potentially wouldn't even solve for that. So I think we've done all right with DCL. It's just his injury record, and obviously he's a bit older than Muniz as well. But on a free, I think that's a good deal. But Paixao, that would have been such a good addition, wasn't it? Did anyone watch his montages and stuff? I know we get carried away with these sort of things, but wow. Buonanotte was another one that I really, really wanted as well. But yeah, not as much on Muniz. I liked him. I thought it was going to be a good signing, but Paixao, or Paixao, however you want to say it. What a signing that would have been. What a signing that would have been. Oh, well. It better not be a season of like, oh, well, sort of, this, what could have been, which I think it might be. Right. Let's have a look, see if there are any more comments. If they're in, I might be tempted to wrap it up because it is getting a bit late now. And we've obviously, well, I might do another stream tomorrow, maybe like 2 p.m. or something, see if people are around. That's what time I usually upload, so I might just swap it for a live. Seems to be the word now, doesn't it? But yeah, let's wrap it up, shall we? We've done what, 50 odd minutes, 54 minutes. It's a shift that. Nearly 3 hours of streaming a day. Oh, more towards 2.5. But yeah. Anyway, thanks all for watching as always. Let's see if there's any more comments. No, we're all up to date. And yeah, if you could smash a like and subscription if you're still watching, that would be fantabidozy. How are you feeling about Wilson? Yeah, fantastic, mate. Really pleased with it. It's a great addition. That's never happening. Oh well, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all later, everybody. Bye for now.